Hi, mine's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to pick up on something discussed in the New European, which makes a good point about the symbiotic nature of a failing political interviewer, in the form in this case of the BBC's Laura Kuenssberg, and a populist who's only famous and successful because the media platformed him with no justification at all, in this case Nigel Farage. So we may be seeing this symbiotic relationship between the two which helps each other. Very bad for the country, very bad for politics, definitely bad for our news media, and yet not a very easy problem to solve. So a short while ago, Nigel Farage said he had a beef with the BBC and he was boycotting them. This was not the first time he's done so. I actually don't know what it was. I thought his major gripe was with Channel 4 over the election campaign, but for whatever reason, some of you will know, he was going to boycott the BBC as well. You know, the election was on, I was dealing with an illness, details like that passed me by. But it didn't take long for this boycott to end. Nigel Farage popped up on the Laura Kuenssberg show on the BBC last Sunday, where he was given a platform to spread misinformation without any critical response from the hapless host. According to the New European, their sources claim it was Farage who called the show's producers to get himself on, rather than the other way around. You know, like he's trying to call Trump's people to have a meeting with him, rather than the other way around. Not that it particularly matters. Both had to agree for him to appear on the show. Farage had to drop his BBC boycott fairly quickly and decide that he wanted to be on. Oh, and he got no apology from the BBC, by the way. And the show's production team also had to decide that they wanted him on. The question is why? What was in it for both sides? Well, Farage lives on free publicity in the media. His political operations are very much on a shoestring, although the party will now be in receipt of quite a lot of public money thanks to their haul of 5 MPs. But still, without the free publicity that he and his cronies have had over the years, we wouldn't even know who Nigel Farage was. We would, he will rely on that uncritical platform in the media if his project is to survive the Labour government. So in reality, the boycott was always performative. And this fascination of Farage bled into this week as well. You know, between these visits to the United States, Nigel Farage did actually turn up to the state opening of Parliament. You know, and as he entered into shot, the BBC were doing a programme on it, watching the MPs troop in. And then when Nigel Farage came into the shot, the presenters interrupted their coverage. Shut up, everyone. Nigel Farage has appeared. Why? They were discussing something and a new, albeit famous MP walked into shot. There were hundreds of MPs walking into shot. It was not worth interrupting a discussion for. But this is the way he dangles the media on a string. And Farage will continue to do so while he can. Though it seems his ability to dangle the orange one in a string is waning. Because, Trump hasn't agreed to meet him on either visit. Farage is getting increasingly irritable when he's being asked, when are you going to meet the orange one then? Trump kissed the clothes of a murdered man at his convention. Doesn't seem interested in having his own derriere kissed by his supposedly good friend right now. But what was in it for the show's producers in Kuenssberg? Well, as the article points out, Laura Kuenssberg took the programme over from Andrew Marr. It was the Andrew Marr show. Her ratings have not matched his. Possibly as a result of the fact she doesn't even come across as credible. Like Andrew Marr attracted plenty of criticism for being very obviously biased in his conduct. In fact, the difference between his behaviour on the BBC and since, with his work for LBC, is like night and day. A much freer hand to conduct his discussions as he likes. It's like he's a different person. Which just goes to show the difference editorial control has. Not that LBC's editorial standards are coming away with much credit after the way they dropped Sangeeta Miska, but then that just shows how far the BBC itself has fallen. During Brexit, for example, Emily Maitlis later said what they would do is they could find no end of economists who had bad things to say about Brexit. Takes them minutes, no problem at all. But it would take hours to find one with something good to say. But on the programme, they would showcase one of the many economists who said Brexit is bad, as well as the one economist it took them hours to find who said it was good, and then they would pretend that was balance. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. The point is that Kuenssberg's ratings have not been matching those that Marr got, and television is ultimately a ratings game, which is why outrage merchants like Farage can play them so easily. And this is because Kuenssberg is just so terrible. She cannot even seem plausible to neutral viewers. Her first interview with Ed Davey since the election had her say to him, "Congratulations, I suppose." Like, you wouldn't even expect such a mealy-mouthed, petulant response from a losing candidate at the election itself. You occasionally get it, but you don't expect it. But to have this from someone pretending to be an objective political interviewer was utterly ridiculous. And this is just one example of how awful she is in the role. She can't even do a basic act for her viewers. No neutral person could watch a display like that and think she was being objective or fair. So basically, the show's producers are not matching the results of their predecessors. Farage wants someone who will let him say what he wants with the weakest possible pretense that there's any critical questioning going on. So appearing on Kuenssberg is like a match made in heaven, or hell, probably in this case. People will watch it. Some will watch it because they support Farage. Some will be on the opposite side and want to hear what he said so that they can counter it, because Laura Kuenssberg certainly wasn't. Polarising voices attract interest from all sides. And this is not an easy problem to solve. Like, when I was first aware of television, very young lad, there were 3 channels in this country. That was it. 2 of them were the BBC. I actually remember Channel 4 starting. That's how old I am. So the competition for news slots was not exactly fierce. If someone wanted the news, what was your choice? BBC or ITV? Or both, because I actually think they might have been on at different times, but I was very young. Now there's competition everywhere, including from platforms like YouTube, where upstarts like me are in the arena as well. You don't need to even be wearing the right school tie to be able to present the news these days. So the hunt for views and patronage from the right people is intense. Producers as well as presenters. And getting someone like Nigel Farage on, very low-hanging fruit. He wants the platform. He does not want difficult follow-up questions or fact-checking. Kuenssberg is more than happy with those terms. She wants views, and Nigel Farage will get more views making things up that stoke division than Ed Davey will explaining how we can make things nicer for everyone. The market conditions exist in our news and current affairs media to form these symbiotic links. Populists who want an uncritical platform pairing up with presenters who are unable to win an audience by doing their jobs properly. It's almost like it actively encourages you to have bad presenters linking up with bad faith actors. What could possibly go wrong? I don't even know how you would deal with it without making producers personally liable for misinformation on their shows, which I would absolutely be in favour of. It's one of the reasons why Labour's water policies are my favourite. You know, they're making water company executives personally responsible, even criminally responsible for the conduct of their companies. I've said before, you could transfer this principle to so many aspects of public life. Producers and editors to be criminally responsible for the accuracy of their content. Obviously, you don't criminalise genuine mistakes. And, you know, you can do your due diligence and anyone can get it wrong now and then. We're not talking about that. But repeated failures to stamp out obvious untruths should carry consequences. But there are probably less confrontational media reforms you could try first that I still don't see coming. I've seen no sign that Labour really takes the corruption of the media seriously enough. They know about it. They know it's ranged against both them and the truth. But I'm not sure they see it as the priority I think it should be. Sort of like being at war and ignoring the propaganda department of your enemy because they're not the ones shooting at you. No, but they still cause a lot of damage. But unless something is done, I think this contractual arrangement between dishonest and dangerous populists and bad production teams is going to be incentivised to our cost. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.